She used the CEO's private elevator by mistake. When the doors opened, he said, "You have 60 seconds to convince me not to fire you." Claire Lemus got into the wrong elevator at 7:42 a.m. on a Monday morning, carrying a coffee from the bodega that cost $2.50 and wearing a blazer she'd bought at a consignment shop with a loose button she kept meaning to fix. In exactly 8 seconds, those doors would close, trapping her. In exactly 45 seconds, she would be standing face-to-face with Nicholas Ferguson in his private penthouse with no idea how to explain herself or how to escape. But she didn't know any of that yet. Right now she was in the marble lobby of Ferguson Global Enterprises, watching her tablet battery drop to 3%. Another Monday proving what she already knew: some people were meant to be seen, and some people were meant to stay on the third floor forever, submitting reports no one would ever read. 3 years at this company. 47 strategic proposals. 0 acknowledgements. She was invisible. Just another junior analyst in a sea of navy suits and ambition, reminded every single day of exactly how little she mattered. It wasn't the glass ceiling or the boys' club or even the systematic dismissal of her work. It was the way senior executives looked through her in hallways, the way her ideas became someone else's in meetings, the way she'd perfected the art of making herself smaller just to survive. The morning had already gone wrong. Alarm didn't go off. Subway delayed. Spilled half her coffee on the platform. She was running exactly 17 minutes late for a presentation she'd spent 3 weeks preparing that her manager would take credit for anyway. The elevator doors were closing. She didn't think. Her laptop bag slipped off her shoulder, coffee sloshed, and she lunged forward, her hand catching the door just before it shut. Relief flooded through her as she stumbled inside, breathless. She didn't check the button panel. Her fingers were juggling too much: coffee, tablet, the quarterly reports that were supposed to save a failing merger strategy. The doors closed with a whisper of finality. That's when she saw it. One button. Just one. Penthouse. Everything inside her went cold. No. No, she jabbed at the panel uselessly, but the elevator was already rising with that smooth, expensive silence that only private elevators had. The kind of silence that cost more than her annual salary. Everyone knew the rule. Nicholas Ferguson's private elevator was forbidden territory. The executive express that went straight from the lobby to the penthouse, bypassing every floor in between. She'd heard the stories. Analysts escorted out by security within the hour, careers ended before lunch, NDAs signed before they could even pack their desks. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The numbers climbed: 15, 25, 35. She tried to steady her breathing, but panic was turning her thoughts frantic. Maybe he won't be there. Maybe he took the stairs. Maybe he's in a meeting. Maybe. The elevator slowed. The doors opened. He was standing there. 52 years old, silver threading through dark hair at his temples, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car. A face that belonged on magazine covers and in boardrooms where empires were built and destroyed before coffee went cold. Eyes the color of winter storms that had stared down Fortune 500 CEOs and made grown men stammer. He looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time in 3 years at Ferguson Global, Claire Lemus felt seen. His gaze moved from her face to the coffee cup trembling in her hand, to the laptop bag sliding off her shoulder, to the quarterly reports she was clutching like a shield. She watched his expression shift: surprise, then calculation, then something she couldn't name but felt in her chest like electricity. The silence stretched. She opened her mouth to apologize, to beg, to explain. "You have 60 seconds, Nicholas Ferguson said, his voice like gravel and smoke and the kind of authority that didn't need to be loud. "Tell me why I shouldn't fire you. Not who are you. Not how did you get in here." Just the immediate presumption that she'd already failed, and now had to prove she deserved to exist in his space. Terror made her reckless. Instead of apologizing, instead of shrinking like she'd done every other day of her professional life, something snapped. She met his eyes. "Because you're about to lose $3 billion on the Tokyo merger, and I'm the only person who knows how to stop it." Nicholas Ferguson's winter storm eyes pinned her in place. 50 seconds. Terror made her reckless. Clause 47B is a poison pill. Your team missed it celebrating the valuation. With Q2 tariffs and yuan devaluation, you'll miss earnings thresholds by Q3. Nakamura will own your entire Asian supply chain. Silence. What's your name? Claire Lemus. Junior analyst, 3rd floor. Not anymore. Executive floor. Report to me. By noon, rumors exploded. Security escorted her to the 48th floor, an office with floor-to-ceiling windows that made her dizzy. Richard Blackwood appeared, silver-haired, cold smile. Know your place, Miss Lemus. This floor isn't for everyone. Claire stared at the city below. Being seen was terrifying. Now she had something to lose. Claire was still figuring out how the blinds worked when Nicholas summoned her to the executive conference room. 12 men in suits watched her like a mistake needing correction. Walk us through Q2 projections, Nicholas said. CFO Webb presented 18% growth. Claire opened the portfolio. You're wrong. Your calculations ignore ECB rate hikes and energy crisis spillover. This isn't optimistic. It's fiction. Miss Lemus. Continue. Nicholas's words shifted gravity. She dismantled their projections. Power shifted with the silence. That night, Nicholas brought Thai food. They talked until his hand brushed hers, reaching for documents. Lightning in 2 seconds. Later, she searched his name. Found Vanessa's betrayal, the divorce, his broken trust. Friday's board meeting, Blackwood questioned her promotion publicly. Nicholas stood. When an analyst saves $3 billion, she gets promoted. Miss Lemus earned this. Someone had finally defended her. Terrifying. The private jet was obscene. Cream leather, mahogany accents, a flight attendant who appeared with champagne before Claire had even fastened her seatbelt. She'd never left the country. Never been west of Pennsylvania. Now she was flying to Tokyo in a plane that cost more per hour than she made in a year. Nicholas sat across from her, reading contracts with the same intense focus he brought to everything. Nervous. Terrified, she admitted. I've never negotiated anything bigger than my student loan payment plan. You'll be fine. Just do what you did in the boardroom. See what they're hiding. The Tokyo hotel was glass and steel and views that made her dizzy. Her room was larger than her apartment. She stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows watching the city pulse with neon and wondered if this was real or if she'd wake up back on the 3rd floor, invisible again. The negotiations lasted 9 hours. Nakamura's legal team was ruthless, precise, circling like sharks while Nicholas held his ground with the kind of authority that came from years of winning. Claire sat beside him, silent, absorbing every word, every clause, every subtle shift in leverage. Then she saw it. Buried in Section 12, Subsection D, Paragraph 4. Performance metrics tied to market conditions outside Ferguson Global's control. Currency fluctuations. Regional economic indicators. It looked reasonable until you ran the numbers, until you saw how easily it could trigger penalties that would bleed them dry over 5 years. She leaned close to Nicholas, her voice barely a whisper. Section 12. It's a trap. His eyes scanned the page. She watched understanding dawn, watched his jaw tighten. He looked at her, and something passed between them that had nothing to do with contracts and everything to do with trust. Gentlemen, Nicholas said, setting down his pen. We need to revisit Section 12. It took 3 more hours, but they restructured it. Closed the trap. By the time they left, Claire's hands were shaking from adrenaline and exhaustion. The hotel bar was nearly empty. Nicholas ordered whiskey, neat. She got wine she was too wired to drink. You just saved this company $3 billion. His voice was quiet, almost wondering. Do you understand that? I just read the contract. No. You saw what an entire team of lawyers missed. You saw what I missed. He turned to face her fully, and the intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. You're extraordinary, Claire. The rooftop was cold. Tokyo sprawled below them, a universe of light against darkness. Nicholas had followed her up here, his suit jacket draped over his shoulders, tie loosened. He looked younger somehow. Less untouchable. I can't stop thinking about you, he said quietly. Every meeting, every late night, every time you challenge me or prove me wrong or look at me like you can see past every wall I've built. He stepped closer. It's driving me insane. Claire's heart hammered. Then do something about it. He reached for her, his hand cupping her jaw with devastating gentleness. She could see the war in his eyes, want versus control. His thumb brushed her cheekbone and she leaned into the touch, closing the distance between them until she could feel the heat of him, smell his cologne mixed with whiskey and winter air. This can't happen, he said, but he didn't move away. You work for me. The power dynamic. Then fire me. Never. The word came out rough, almost broken. I'd burn this company to the ground before I let you go. Then kiss me. For 3 heartbeats, the world held its breath. Then he stepped back, turning away, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. Not like this. Not when I have this much power over your career. I won't be that man. The flight home was silent. Professional. Excruciating. By the time they landed, the board had noticed. Emergency meeting called for Monday morning. Whispers in elevators, speculation in the executive dining room. Nicholas Ferguson's beautiful young consultant. The trips. The late nights. The way he looked at her. Claire found the email Friday afternoon. A thread she'd never written, sent from her account 3 weeks ago. Technical specifications. Proprietary algorithms. Financial projections. All of it forwarded to an offshore address with a subject line that read, as discussed, pricing attached. Her blood turned to ice. Blackwood appeared in her doorway with that same cold smile. Something wrong, Miss Lemus? She met his eyes and saw her future in them. Disappear quietly, resign before charges are filed, slink back into invisibility. Or fight. Risk everything. Burn it all down if necessary. Claire stood, her voice steady despite the terror flooding her chest. Get out of my office. His smile widened. Enjoy the weekend. Monday should be interesting. When he left, she stared at the forged emails until her vision blurred. Being invisible had been safe. Being seen had been terrifying. But fighting back? That would require becoming someone she'd never been. Someone who didn't apologize for taking up space. Someone who claimed power instead of asking permission. She picked up her phone and called Nicholas. We need to talk, she said. Someone's trying to destroy me, and I'm not going quietly. The archives were in the basement, a fluorescent-lit maze of filing cabinets and bankers' boxes that smelled like dust and old paper. Claire had been down here for 6 hours, cross-referencing wire transfers with purchase orders, tracing shell companies through layers of corporate obfuscation. Her eyes burned. Her back ached. But she'd found something. Blackwood's signature on transfers that didn't match any authorized expenditures. Offshore accounts in the Caymans. Payments disguised as consulting fees to companies that didn't exist. She was building a timeline when Nicholas appeared in the doorway, his tie loosened and his sleeves rolled up. It's 2 a.m. What are you doing? Claire looked up from her sea of documents. Saving both our asses. He stepped into the fluorescent light, his expression unreadable. Then he saw the papers spread across the table, the web of connections she'd mapped out, the evidence laid bare. Show me. He sat beside her. Close enough she could feel the heat of him, smell his cologne fading into something more human after 16 hours of work. She walked him through it. Every transfer. Every shell company. Every piece of the puzzle that proved Blackwood had been embezzling for 18 months. He set you up, Nicholas said quietly, his jaw tight with barely contained rage. Made you look guilty to cover his tracks. And when I started getting close to you, I became dangerous. Someone who might actually see his financials. They worked until dawn, building the case until it was airtight. Somewhere around 4 a.m, Nicholas leaned back in his chair and rubbed his eyes. When he spoke, his voice was raw with exhaustion and something deeper. Vanessa left me for Marcus Chun. My business partner. Best friend since college. He stared at the fluorescent lights like they held answers. They'd been having an affair for 2 years. Used Pillow Talk to steal proprietary strategies, then launched a competing firm with my own playbook. I didn't see it coming. Didn't see her. I thought I knew her. Claire's chest ached. Nicholas. I don't trust easily, Claire. I haven't trusted anyone in 3 years. But I trust you. He turned to face her, and his eyes held something vulnerable and terrifying. From the moment you stepped into that elevator, you've been the most honest person I've encountered. You don't want my money. You don't want my connections. You just want to be seen for who you actually are. I am seen. By you. Yes. His hand found hers on the table. You are. The kiss happened at 4:47 a.m. with sunrise bleeding gold through the floor-to-ceiling windows 48 floors above them. He cupped her face with both hands like she was something precious, something that might break, and when their lips met it wasn't desperate or rushed. It was inevitable. A gravitational pull they'd been resisting since that first 60 seconds in the elevator. She threaded her fingers through his silver-touched hair. He made a sound low in his throat that sent electricity down her spine. The kiss deepened, and Claire felt every careful wall she'd built come crashing down. This was dangerous. This was reckless. This was everything she shouldn't want. This was everything. They broke apart breathing hard, foreheads pressed together in the dim basement light. His thumb traced her jaw. Her hands fisted in his shirt. The line between them had been crossed, burned, destroyed completely. Claire. I know. She did know. This changed everything. Made everything more complicated. More dangerous. More real. His phone buzzed. Then hers. Both of them at once. The SEC email was timestamped 5:03 a.m. Anonymous tip received regarding suspicious trading activity by Claire Lemus, special consultant at Ferguson Global Enterprises. Investigation opened. All accounts frozen pending review. Nicholas's face went pale. They moved faster than I thought. Claire stared at her phone, the weight of it settling in her chest like lead. The kiss still burned on her lips. His taste still lingered. And now she understood with crystalline clarity what she'd been trying to deny for 3 weeks. Love and power weren't just intertwined. They were weapons. And in the wrong hands, they could destroy everything. We have until Monday, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Let's make it count. The dress arrived Saturday afternoon. Emerald green silk, designer label, a note in Nicholas's handwriting. Wear this tonight. Trust me. It fit perfectly. Like he'd memorized every curve. The Ferguson Global Charity Gala was Manhattan opulence at its finest. Chandeliers, champagne, old money in tuxedos making tax-deductible donations. Claire walked in and felt every eye turn. Whispers followed her across marble like ripples in water. Then Nicholas cut through the crowd, devastating in black tie, his silver hair catching light. He didn't ask. Just extended his hand. Dance with me. The waltz was torture. His hand at her waist, her palm against his shoulder, the entire ballroom watching them spin under crystal chandeliers. She could feel the scandal building with every turn. Let them talk, he murmured against her ear. I don't care anymore. Blackwood materialized when the music ended. Enjoy it while it lasts, Miss Lemus. The balcony was cold, but Nicholas's jacket around her shoulders was warm. He stood at the railing, Manhattan glittering below them, and when he spoke his voice was raw. I'm 24 years older than you. I have more money than God. I could ruin your career with a word. But I've never wanted anything the way I want you. Claire stepped close, her hand finding his. Then have me. The consequences. I don't care. And she didn't. Not about the whispers or the scandal or the professional suicide. She cared about the man who'd seen her when she was invisible. Who'd defended her. Who'd trusted her with his broken pieces. He kissed her under the stars with all of Manhattan watching. They left together, hand in hand, while paparazzi cameras flashed like lightning. By morning, their photograph would be everywhere. The ruthless CEO and his young consultant. The scandal that would tear through boardrooms and society pages. But tonight, walking out those doors together, Claire had never felt more powerful. She'd chosen him. He'd chosen her. Everything else was just noise. The headlines were brutal. Their photograph everywhere. Nicholas Ferguson and his young consultant, leaving together, scandal in silk and scandal in suits. Emergency board meeting called for Monday, 8 a.m. sharp. Inappropriate relationship with subordinate. SEC investigation officially launched. The evidence hit like a sledgehammer. Emails from Claire's account. Proprietary algorithms sold. Financial projections forwarded to competitors. Dates, timestamps, pricing negotiations. All of it perfectly documented. All of it damning. Nicholas's face when he saw it. That was what broke her. The walls slamming back up. The winter returning to his eyes. 3 years of guarding his heart, and she'd just proven why. Tell me you didn't do this. I didn't. Her voice cracked. But you're already doubting me. Claire. She walked out before he could finish. Returned to the 3rd floor, to her old cubicle that someone had already claimed. Blackwood found her there, his smile triumphant. You should have stayed in your lane, Miss Lemus. Claire stared at the city through windows 45 floors lower than yesterday. She'd lost everything. Her position. Her reputation. Nicholas's trust. Rock bottom tasted like cheap coffee and failure. 72 hours. No sleep. Claire traced every wire transfer, every deleted email, every offshore account. Blackwood's embezzlement. 47 million over 18 months. Stock manipulation. Insider trading. Corporate espionage. All his. Nicholas appeared at her apartment door Tuesday night, his eyes red-rimmed. I should have trusted you. I'm sorry. She showed him the evidence spread across her floor. I don't need you to save me. I'm saving myself. They worked through the night, building the case until it was bulletproof. At 3 a.m. in a Kinko's, making copies while fluorescent lights hummed overhead, Nicholas looked at her and laughed. Is this what love looks like? Claire smiled, exhausted and wired and more certain than she'd ever been. For us? Yes. Messy and complicated and worth everything. She stared at the documents, the proof of Blackwood's corruption, and felt something shift inside her chest. She wasn't asking for a seat at the table anymore. She was flipping it. Let's destroy him, she said. Nicholas kissed her temple. Let's do it. The board meeting convened to vote on Nicholas's removal and Claire's termination. She walked in uninvited, heels clicking on marble. I have something to say. She presented everything. Financial records. Emails. Recordings. Blackwood's embezzlement laid bare. You want to talk about impropriety? Let's talk about $47 million. Blackwood's face drained of color. He tried to leave. Security blocked the doors. The board voted. Blackwood terminated. Criminal charges filed. SEC investigation redirected. But the damage was done. Nicholas's relationship with his employee still violated policy. He stood, buttoning his jacket with lethal calm. Then I resign as CEO. Effective immediately. Claire's heart stopped. What are you doing? Removing the power imbalance. His eyes found hers across the boardroom. So I can choose you freely. He'd just given up everything he'd built. For her. 6 months later, Claire presented quarterly strategy as VP of Strategic Development, youngest executive in company history. The board approved unanimously. Nicholas, now chairman with no direct reports, caught her hand afterward. Dinner tonight? Is that appropriate, Mr. Ferguson? We're equals now, Miss Lemus. Completely appropriate. The rooftop restaurant overlooked Manhattan. He produced an emerald ring matching her gala dress. I'm still 24 years older than you. I'm still smarter than you. He laughed, the sound free and unguarded. Marry me anyway. Yes. Later, in her office, Claire stared at the nameplate, VP Strategic Development. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city she'd conquered on her own terms. Nicholas appeared in the doorway, silver hair catching light, winter eyes warm. Ready to go home? She was. Finally, completely home.